Part 26. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 252. After dinner time is always wonderful. A cigarette can make you a god. It's just that Han Qian is a little too fast now. He will soon need 2 more oil bottles. 2 little bastards who don't know pain unless they are beaten encourage Li Jiayi to skip school and go to the internet cafe to play games. Li Jiayi is the key person to take care of in the school, and he can still skipping class. Then he was caught by the school. Li thought he was fine. He couldn't bear the responsibility of Xiao Tukan and put it all on him. He contacted the junior high school and finally made a decision. Li Jiayi was young and ignorant and didn't know the importance. He would have a major demerit and he had to go to those in the city. The top 10, and the punishment for little Tukan was very severe. Knowing that it would be useless to go to your parents, the principal did not save Tu Xiao any face. Tukan was stunned by saying that he was going to repeat the grade. As for Li Duoli, the call went directly to Li Jinhina. Now these 2 guys don't dare to go home and have slipped away to find Han Qian for comfort. According to little Tukan, her father kept bowing and apologizing to the principal and admitting his mistake this time, so she could barely escape this disaster. Her mistake was not big, but her early love with Li Jiayi and encouraging others to skip classes cannot be revealed easily by the school. However, Tu Xiao was so angry that his face turned green. Tukan didn't dare to go home anyway. As for Li him. Li Jinhai ran away without being caught, and now the 2 little bastards came to Han Qian in 2 directions. The 2 guys met by chance at the main entrance of the company, and they slapped each other under Han Qian's glare. Han Qian, who was standing on the steps, smiled and waved to the 2 bastards, beckoning them to come over. The 2 little idiots laughed stupidly. Then he walked up to Han Qian. In the next second, Han Qian grabbed Tukan's ponytail and the back of Li's neck, and said with a sinister smile, "What's wrong? Tukan, do you think my uncle dare not beat you?" Little Tukan was so obedient that he didn't dare to struggle at all, and whispered, "You dare, my mother-in-law is my uncle, I should be educated, but I have lost my mother since I was a child, brother-in-law. Don't do this with me, get in." Pushing little Tukan into the elevator, when Han Qian looked at Li Duoli, the young master's legs went weak on the spot and he sighed. "Brother-in-law. I was wrong." "Wrong? Just wait a moment, I'm still behind to clean up." Then the staff of the general department saw Han Qian dragging 2 children in with one hand, and Suliang turned around in his chair and crossed his legs with a smile. "What's wrong? Are you still taking care of children now?" Han Qian raised his foot and kicked Li's butt, frowning. "Are you still waiting for me to introduce you?" Li covered his buttocks and smiled quickly at the big guy in the general department. "Hello, brothers and sisters. My name is Li Duoli. I am the 2nd eldest child in the family. Just call me Li. If you have any questions, brothers and sisters, my father is Li Jinhai." Ouch. The 2nd son of the city bureau? Unfortunately, before anyone could reply, Li was kicked again, and Han Qian frowned. "Did I ask you to introduce your father? Go. That's my place. Just wait for me and I'll take care of you later." After saying that, he slapped Xiao Tukan on the shoulder and frowned. "What? I said he didn't talk about you." Little Tukan pursed his lips and refused to say. "My dad is Tu Xiao, the 2nd son of the city bureau and the black boss's girl. How did these 2 things get mixed up?" The corners of Suliang's eyes twitched, but he was still able to accept it. As soon as Li sat down, he was attracted by De Qian's game. He stood up and leaned over to start bragging about how awesome Han Qian was, but De Qian scolded him. "Your brother-in-law? Han Qian? He's a younger brother. Little Tukun came close to Shan Shan to watch the idol drama. Han Qian closed his eyes and took a deep breath. He ignored the two little bastards and walked to the computer. He just found 2 test papers online and printed them out. Put it in front of Li Er and said coldly, "If the accuracy rate is above 70%, I won't hit you. If it's above 80%, your father won't spank you. When it reaches 90%, I'll find nursery rhymes to give you a week's holiday. If it's not 70%, you can wait to die. Brother-in-law. Shall I take you to your sister's place?" Li Er stopped talking and lowered his head to start taking the test paper. Little Tukun was very obedient. He took the test paper and came to Shanshan's side. Han Qian said coldly when he saw this, "Shan Shan, stop reading now and help Suliang refine the plan. Also, no one of you is allowed to teach them. You two also listen well. I will call your father now. I will never dare to instigate Li Jiai again. Give it a try by skipping class." After saying this, Han Qian walked out the door. Before he could go out, a cute little girl hugged his leg, raised his head and called him uncle. "Xiao Baibei is here?" Han Qian picked up Xiao Baibei. Xiao Baibei hugged Han Qian's neck and acted coquettishly. He whispered that his butt hurt and he had received an injection. Han Qian looked helplessly at Xiao Yangjie who was holding a school bag behind him. Xiao Baibei explained that Xiao Baibei was sick again. "The teacher took me for an injection and then sent it over. I was worried that the cold would be transmitted to other children." Han Qian hugged Xiao Baibei, turned around and whispered to Suliang, "Help me print out a kindergarten test paper. You 3 should be more honest and don't make me beat you up." Hearing that he was going to be beaten, Xiao Baibei cried loudly. Xiao Tukun did not mind the big deal and also shouted. When Li Er saw this, he was about to speak. Han Qian grabbed the water glass on the table, and Li Er shut up obediently. Mouth, and then all 3 children were taken away by Han Qian. He held one in his arms, held another in his hand, and the other walked in front and kicked him with his feet. Pushing open the door of Yan Qingqing's office, the woman had returned. Looking at the tearful Xiao Baibei in Han Qian's arms, and then seeing the aggrieved Xiao Tukun, Yan Qingqing stood up and said doubtfully, "What? You took over the business of taking care of children? Why didn't you Xiao Tukun and Xiao Baibei go to school?" Han Qian pushed Xiao Tukun into the office and said helplessly, "There's another one." After saying this, Li Er revealed half of his body and grinned. "Hello, Sister Qingqing, I heard my dad told me that you want me to learn from you." Yan Qingqing was a little confused, looked at Han Qian and frowned. "Who is this?" "Li Jinhai's second son, don't ask. It's a headache for me to ask. You 3 go to study for me. I'll call your father now and ask them to pick you up tonight. I have a dinner party tonight. Uncle, I'm hungry." "Xiao Tukun, don't you feel uncomfortable if you don't cause trouble?" "Brother-in-law, I'm hungry too. Order your own takeout." Han Qian was too lazy to pay attention to them and went out to make a phone call. Then Tu Xiao said on the phone that he didn't want to see this girl anymore and asked Han Qian to send it to him wherever he could. Now he went to apologize to his future mother-in-law and closed the phone after hanging up. Daegu called and told Han Qian not to let the eldest lady come back. The master had already burned incense in front of his wife to ask if he could beat his daughter tonight. He didn't know what the lady said, but the master meant that he could beat her. What a headache. He hung up the phone and called Li Jinhai. When the call was connected, Li Jinhai's roar came out. "That little brat is with you? Where are you? If I don't serve as director today, I'm going to kill him. I won't care if he goes to film and television school. I'm taking that kid Giai to skip class. I'm so damn busy. To deal with this, you have to wipe his ass. Have to. You can't send this one back, you'll definitely be beaten to death. After putting down the phone, Han Qian returned to the office and looked at the three idiots, big, middle and small, who were frowning at the test papers. He lost his temper, squatted in front of the new coffee table and knocked on the table angrily. Difficult. Is it just difficult? I don't know how old Sanwu is. How old are you, Xiao Baibei? My uncle told you that one hand has 5 fingers, but what about the 3 hands? Xiao Baibei stared at Han Qian with his big eyes filled with water mist, and said with a flat mouth. 3. I'll give you 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Isn't that 5? How much is 3, 5? 5. Han Qian was so angry that he sat upright and gritted his teeth angrily. How many fingers do you have on both hands and one foot? 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 90, uncle's shoes. After taking off her shoes, Xiao Baibei finally figured it out. When she wrote down the number 12, Han Qian became angry and yelled at Xiao Baibei. Xiao Baibei behaved as well. He didn't shed a single tear and whispered. Road. Uncle, don't worry. Han Qian felt that his blood pressure was a bit high. Xiao Tukan on the side was laughing so much that he could no longer write. Han Qian glared at her and said angrily to Xiao Baibei. Is your mother being gentle to you? There cannot be one less strict person in the family. Xiao Baibei, I will teach you later. Xiao Tukan, you only wrote these few words. Is this equal to 0 equation? Is that difficult? Huh. Xiao Baibei is young, and so are you. Can't you do this with your eyes closed? I've given you the answer, but you can't do it by writing a formula. I told you, think about it yourself. After saying that, Han Qian hesitated as he looked at Li Duoli's test paper. Chemical. He couldn't do it either. He turned around and looked at Yan Qingqing and said awkwardly. I'll handle the work for you, can you help me? Okay. Yan Qingqing was full of confidence, and within 20 minutes, Yan Qingqing's roar echoed throughout the 14th floor. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, A Huan. Chapter 253. There was a pile of jelly on the table. It was Han Qian who asked Xiao Yangjia to contribute. Yan Qingqing had returned to her place and rested with her head covered. She clearly realized that she didn't like children, especially Xiao Baibei. So big. If it weren't for the fact that this child is Yang Ian's precious daughter, Yan Qingqing would definitely be made to cry by her. Han Qian divided the jellies into 3 piles and asked Xiao Baibei to count how many there were. He turned to look at Xiao Yangjia and asked doubtfully. Is it so hard for Xiao Baibei to study at home? Xiao Yangjia also looked a little confused and shook her head blankly. No. I don't need my sister to watch me at home. Maybe I want to act coquettishly in front of you. Han Qian also guessed the answer and sighed softly. Children of single parents are always more precocious and strange than children with healthy parents. When Han Qian lowered his head, Xiao Baibei had already raised his head, and Grandma's voice was firm. Uncle, 14. 354. Snapped. Han Qian slapped his forehead. He clearly divided the 5 into piles, and divided them into 3 piles in total. How could there be only 14? Han Qian said slightly angrily. Counting again. Xiao Baibei obediently counted the jelly balls, drooling while counting, and the result was still 14. Han Qian was also confused. Could it be that one was missing just now? I squatted down and counted them myself. It was impossible for such a big person to be unable to count more than a dozen jelly balls. It turned out that there were really 14. Did you count wrong just now? Han Qian raised his head and looked at Xiao Yangjia, who was looking out the window. Han Qian lowered his head and counted again, but the result was wrong again, 1 less. Han Qian glanced at Li Er. Li Er stood up and opened his mouth to express his innocence. When he looked at Xiao Baibei, the little lowly imitated Li Er's look and was extremely cute. Finally, little Toucan was left. The girl stood up and climbed over the sofa to run away. Han Qian stepped on the coffee table and grabbed little Toucan by the back collar. Little Toucan turned his head and smiled implicitly at Han Qian, narrowing his eyes. Len didn't open his mouth. No need to guess. Han Qian was so angry that he was grinding his teeth because of this little Toucan's airs. He was teaching Xiao Baibei to learn. Her trouble would make Xiao Baibei think that 3 to 5 really equals 14. Toucan was also strong-skinned, so he was being treated like this by his heirs. He kept mouthing while he was doing it, and after swallowing the jelly, he began to beg for mercy. "Uncle, I'm hungry. I haven't eaten lunch yet." Snapped. Han Qian slapped Xiao Toucan on the forehead, frowned and scolded. "Why don't you scream when you're hungry when you're playing games in an internet cafe? Are you hungry when you see me? Am I a milk bottle?" Little Toucan lowered his head and muttered softly. "There's someone at the internet cafe selling lunch boxes at noon." After saying this, he saw that Han Qian was about to take action again, and ran away, shouting auntie for help. Li Er was afraid that Han Qian would forget about him, and asked Han Qian doubtfully if he had a girlfriend. As his brother-in-law, he will keep it secret on behalf of Han Qian. Han Qian was so angry that he was about to take action. Xiao Baibei also came to Yan Qingqing's table and shouted, "Uncle Mua! No more. He would definitely be pissed off here." Han Qian picked up Xiao Baibei and sent it to Yang Lan. He would definitely be led astray by these two bastards here. He just walked out of the door holding Xiao Baibei, but suddenly in a few seconds turning back, he opened the door and said coldly to the two bastards in the office. "You two don't like reading, right? Go to a dinner party with me tonight." Little Yang Jia, who was squatting beside Yan Qingqing for protection, revealed half of his head behind the desk and whispered. "What kind of dinner? Are you going on a date?" Li Er also spoke. "If you want to have dinner with my old lady, I won't go. Whether you want to go or not doesn't matter, Mr. Yan. If they don't obey, they'll be beaten to death. If they don't learn from it." The two bastards were dissatisfied, but they didn't dare to refute. After Han Qian left, Yan Qingqing bent down and held Toucan's little face, smiling. "Why are you so afraid of him? Han Qian is so scary." Little Toucan sighed, nodded vigorously, and whispered. "My dad said he'd beat me, but I wasn't afraid. I could still resist or run away from home, but my dad would just scare me, but not my uncle. He really knew how to beat me. Even if I'm naughty, I know who is good to me and who is bad to me. Isn't it because my uncle is good to my father because I call him uncle? He fulfills his duties as an uncle. As a niece, I can't be ignorant of good and evil, right auntie?" Yan Qingqing pinched Toucan's little nose, wrinkled her nose and nodded, whispering "You're so sensible," and then looked at Li Er who was sitting on the sofa writing the test paper, his warm brother. Yan Qingqing didn't like it at all, and curled her lips road. "Li Er, are you afraid of your brother-in-law?" Li Er raised his head and said in astonishment. "Afraid? I'm afraid? I'm scared to death, okay. Sister Qingqing, don't have any hostility towards me. Although I am my sister's brother, I prefer my brother-in-law. If you two become, I will change my name and call you sister. Even though my sister is so bear-like, she has a good skin. She could only marry my brother-in-law under the guise of a lantern." Yan Qingqing curled her lips and smiled. "Being glib, answer my question." Li Er scratched his head and laughed. "What I have for my brother-in-law is not fear, but respect. I know that my brother-in-law is very good. Except for math problems, he can't do anything. My old man wants me to learn from my brother-in-law. In addition to knowing how to call my daddy, he didn't learn anything else, and he also beat me, which was quite severe. My old man agreed very much with this, saying that a strict teacher will produce a good disciple, and a stick will produce a filial son. Beat. Thinking of Han Qian's action, Yan Qingqing smiled. Are you angry after being beaten? Li Er slapped his legs and shouted. I'm angry, I must be angry. When I was beaten at first, I felt very unconvinced. I went to my parents and my aunt to say bad things about him. Later, my sister told me that only those who care about you will discipline you. If you make a mistake, I will beat you. If you don't take you seriously, no one will care whether you die or not. When I think about it, this is indeed the truth. In order not to get beaten, try not to make mistakes. But my father and my brother-in-law are different. My dad beats me whether I make a mistake or not. I'm used to it and I don't feel the pain anymore. Sister Ching Ching, when did you and my brother-in-law start? Does my sister know? He was such a talkative person that Yan Qingqing and Xiao Tukan just listened to him. Han Qian, who returned to the general department, held Xiao Baibei and sat on his lap. He put on headphones for little Lolita and watched the cartoons played on the computer. During this period, Yang Lan came out to look for Xiao Baibei and saw Xiao Baibei sitting there. In Han Qian's arms, Han Qian was coaxing the child with snacks in his left hand and yogurt in his right hand. Yang Lan smiled happily, stepped forward and nodded Xiao Baibei's head, took off his earphones and whispered softly. Watch for 10 minutes and then go red. Xiao Baibei raised his head, glanced at Yang Lan, and whispered. Mom, I have read books. My uncle taught me. Thinking of the scene of teaching Xiao Baibei to study, Han Qian suddenly felt a pain in his head. He put Xiao Baibei on the chair and sighed at Yang Lan. Sister Yang, please teach Xiao Baibei the multiplication table of 355. After hearing this, Yang Lan frowned and said doubtfully. Teaching formula tables. She can memorize them. She can do addition, subtraction, and multiplication within 100. After hearing this, Han Qian lowered his head and glared angrily, then poked the little Loli's face, who giggled while watching the cartoon. How are children today smarter than children of their time? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 254. In the evening, when Han Qian was debating whether to take a taxi to the appointment, Li Duoli made a phone call. Not long after, two cars parked in front of the company, an Audi A4 and a Touran. Han Qian didn't choose between the two cars. He called the girl Cai Qinghu, but the sister turned off her phone. Han Qian took a deep breath and said softly. Make a bus. It is definitely impossible to take a bus or take a taxi. Han Qian sat in front and educated Li Er with a frown. Boy, just because you don't take your identity seriously doesn't mean others don't think so. They did you a favor today. How can you help me when they ask you for help in the future? Spend some money on small things. It's okay, but what if it's a big deal? You're not young anymore. I've seen your two friends. They're both well off, right? At least they're rich owners. Your father's position will offend a lot of people. What if they set you up, get into fights for a small matter, or drink and drive and take drugs for a big deal? It's okay to make friends, but try not to owe them anything, and don't let them owe you anything. Li Duoli replied in a low voice. Brother-in-law, people are not as bad as you think. Bad? Others don't know what happened to me a few days ago, how can you two still not know? Society is not as loyal as you think. Little Tukun knows this better than you, so learn from it. When he mentioned the past few days, Li Duoli's expression changed, and he took a deep breath and replied seriously. Brother-in-law, I understand. For Li Han Qian educates as much as he can. He will not miss any opportunity, nor will he think about what he says and what he has to do with him. Li Jinhai is Li Jinhai, and the child is a child. Han Qian cannot let Li Dole went astray. Calling brother-in-law means fulfilling the responsibilities and obligations that an elder should bear. When I was thinking, I called Nuan. I heard that Han Qian had a dinner party. Nuan reminded her in a low voice to be careful and not to worry about her. Nursery rhymes would come over to accompany her in a while. It seems that he has forgotten what happened in the morning. In fact, when Nuan has become immune to these provocations. There are so many little goblins around Han Qian, one more is not too much, one less is not too much. If every appearance and provocation would be if you want to quarrel with Han Qian, you don't need to be seduced, Han Qian will run away by himself. Warmth is not stupid, and emotional intelligence is not low either. At the very least, he is much better at handling relationships than Han Qian. After hanging up the phone, Han Qian called Tu Xiao and told Tu Xiao that he would take little Tukan to see the scene. He could also ask Guan Yunbiao to wait outside the hotel. At this moment, Tu Xiao looked like an old man whose daughter was getting married. Dad, ask in a low voice if there is any danger. Isn't it too early for little Tukan? Then Han Qian asked whether he should send Tukan back, but Tu Xiao objected on the spot. Don't. She can learn a little while being with you. My dad can't do anything but teach her how to kill people. Don't worry, you are my father and I am your uncle. If you dote on your child, I will do the same for you. The car stopped at the entrance of Neptune's mansion. It was exactly 8 o'clock when the three of them got out of the car. Han Qian called Cai Qinghu again. The woman still turned off her phone. Han Qian was a little anxious and expected her to come over to build momentum for him. Never mind. If you don't come, don't come. Han Qian called Wei Tiancheng and asked which room he was in. A few minutes later, Miao Miao came down. Today, Miao Miao was dressed in a very down-to-earth style. It was not as revealing as the first time we met. She wore a white vest and light jeans, very urban. Dress up. When Miao Miao saw two children beside Han Qian, she breathed a sigh of relief and led the way in a soft voice. Han Qian kept smiling in response, and the two children behind him gathered together and whispered. Second brother, does this woman look familiar to you? Every pretty girl looks familiar to me, what's wrong? No, do you think she looks like the host on the city TV station? Huh? When you say that, it sounds like it's true. I don't remember the face, but these breasts look familiar to me. Han Qian turned around and put his foot on Li Duoli's waist without using much force. Li Duoli sat on the ground exaggeratedly and admitted his mistake in a low voice. All this was seen and heard by Miao Miao. As long as you know it, you will know it. The worst thing you can do is not do this job. Miao Miao knocked on the door of the private room, paused for about 10 seconds, opened the door and said softly. Master Han, please. Miss Miao Miao please. After saying that, Han Qian strode into the box. There were 5 people inside, 4 of them, 5 including Miao Miao. Today, Wei Tiancheng was dressed simply. He changed out of his suit and put on a sports suit, wearing glasses. He still looks very handsome, and the vacant seat next to him should be wonderful. As for the identity of the other fat man with a kind smile on his face, there is no need to guess. Lu Guangming was accompanied by a handsome young woman. Next to the young woman sat a very attractive young mature woman, 34 or 5 years old, with a grace and charm that a girl could not express in her movements. She was wearing a low-cut dress, black long wavy hair and heavy makeup. After looking at the people in the box, Han Qian grinned. You're late? You brought 2 oil bottles with you. Director Wei and Director Lu won't mind, right? After saying this, Wei Tiancheng stood up and smiled. What did Mr. Han say? It was about 8 o'clock. Why are you late? As for the slander, the daughter of 2 boss is the slanderer. Mr. Han, you are the only one in the city. First, and in front of the eldest lady. When Wei Tiancheng said this, Han Qian's heart skipped a beat. He really wanted to slap himself. He couldn't say that little Tu Kun was a drag. What was the reason why Tu Xiao was so honest now and his life was so tight? Just because I have a daughter. When Han Qian regretted it, he suddenly felt his little finger tighten. He looked down and found that it was Xiao Tukan holding his little finger. A silly laugh came from behind. Han Qian breathed a sigh of relief. When he was about to speak, Li Er's cold voice came from the box. There was an explosion. My brother-in-law said it was because we two caused trouble for him. Wei Dong, why did you misinterpret my brother-in-law's words? Do you really blame my brother-in-law for coming late or bringing us here? My dad told me just be direct when you speak, don't beat around the bush. If you think we are in the way, we can just leave. Dually. So rude. Why don't you apologize to Director Wei? Han Qian frowned and let out a low groan. Li Er turned his head to the other side. The atmosphere in the box became awkward. Wei Tianquan's face turned green and white. Where did this little brat come from? Are newborn calves afraid of tigers? Do you really think that Wei Tiancheng is easy to bully? Wei Tianquan's face turned cold. At this time, Lu Guangming stood up and smoothed things over with a smile. Brother Wei, this is indeed your fault. If Mr. Li hadn't opened his mouth, I wouldn't have been able to help but say a few words to you. Today, Boss Tu's daughter and Mr. Li's second son went to an appointment. We two are uncles. I didn't think of it beforehand. Please sit down quickly. My niece too, come to your uncle's place. Your mother and I were schoolmates back then. Your father's stone temper will definitely not talk to you about your mother. Uncle, let me tell you, your mother was there back then. He is a very popular figure in the school. Hearing that someone knew his mother, little Tu Kun's eyes lit up instantly, but little Tu Kun didn't move. Instead, he looked at Han Qian. When he saw Han Qian smiled and nodded, he ran to sit next to Lu Guangming. He was really curious when asking about his mother. Lu Guangming's attempt to smooth things over was almost invariably telling Wei Tiancheng the identity of the young man who followed Han Qian. At their level, he could be on an equal footing with many officials at the Yamenmen, and even the other party would take the initiative to show favor to them. But they really don't dare to mess with the second in command of the city bureau, and there is still no first in command, at this juncture. Wei Tianquan's face became a little embarrassed and he didn't know how to speak. At this time, Miao Miao suddenly spoke. I heard in the elevator that the second young master is going to take the Film and Television Academy exam. If you don't mind, I can tell you about the Film and Television Academy exam. I am a graduate of the Film and Television Academy, although I'm not very successful. Li Er's temper came and went quickly, and he smiled at Miao Miao. Thank you, Sister Miao Miao. I have to ask my brother-in-law if I can take the Film and Television Academy exam. If he asks me to take the exam, I will take the exam. If he doesn't let me take the exam, I won't dare. Han Qian kicked Li Er's butt and cursed with a smile. Go away, your father can't take care of you anymore, how can I take care of you? Just go there if you want. Li Er smiled innocently and ran over. Han Qian and Nana naturally walked to sit next to the young mature woman. The young mature woman, very sensible, got a glass of water for Han Qian and also took out a cigarette for Han Qian to light. Han Qian took the cigarette very naturally and smiled at Wei Tiancheng. Director Wei, I have no other intention in bringing these two children here today. I think we are all acquaintances. Although it is the first time to meet Director Liu, I have already heard of Director Liu's reputation. I want to sit here, it's a fate to be together, so I'm bringing my 2 children over for a casual meal. Wei Tiancheng chuckled, while Lu Guangming laughed. Ha 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 ha, I like young Master Han's temperament, young Master Han. I'm older than you, so you won't mind if I call you brother, right? Oh, brother Lu, look at what you said, you're a heretic, aren't you? After blowing out a puff of smoke, Han Qian squinted at Lu Guangming and Wei Tiancheng. Mad, there are always people messing with my mentality. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, A Huan. Chapter 255. While chatting, little Tu Kun returned to Han Qian. He lowered his head and choked in a low voice. Han Qian touched Tu Kun's head and sighed softly. Lu Guangming saw this and lightly slapped his face. He stood up and blamed himself. It's my fault that I can't control my mouth when it comes to the past. Niece, just speak, and uncle will make up for the birthday gifts you've received over the past 16 years. Little Tu Kun lowered his head and said nothing, while Han Qian frowned and smiled at Lu Guangming. Brother Lu, there is no need to blame yourself. How can you be wrong for your unintentional actions? I would like to thank you on behalf of Boss Tuesday. After all, there are some things that his father cannot say. Don't stand still. It has been more than 10 minutes. I was too embarrassed to eat without using my chopsticks, I was so hungry. Lu Guangming said repeatedly. Move your chopsticks, use your chopsticks, hey. What's wrong with you, old Wei? Are you still awake from last night's wine? With a reminder, Wei Tiancheng came back to his senses and smiled. Hey! Didn't I just listen to what you said? During dinner, you told your niece that you were crying, so you have to express yourself properly. It's easy to talk about. The young and mature sister started serving food to Han Qian. Han Qian thought he knew the etiquette and rules of the table very well, but compared to the sister, he was just a little bit worse. Every time he served Han Qian, he would pay attention to him. His eyes changed, and he knew what Han Qian liked to eat without even talking, but he never poured a glass of wine. Even if Wei Tiancheng signaled many times, she would not pour the wine unless Han Qian touched the glass. This woman's emotional intelligence made Han Qian feel scared. If he knew how to manipulate people's hearts, Han Qian firmly believed that he could go higher and further. Han Qian tentatively glanced at the wine glass, and soon he heard the charming voice of a mature female sister. No need to test me, I am only responsible for serving Mr. Han today, only at the wine table. Han Qian smiled. If not. The mature female sister's face turned slightly red and she whispered. Master Han, the child is here. Han Qian turned his head to see little Tu Kun staring at him, and scratched his head in embarrassment. At this time, there was a sudden feeling on his legs, slowly going up his knees, and finally falling between his legs. Han Qian suddenly felt a little uneasy. He raised his hand and stretched out under the table to hold the woman's troublesome little hand. Li Er noticed Han Qian's weirdness. Just as he was about to speak, Miyajiake blocked his mouth. He blinked at Li Er. Seeing this, Han Qian picked up his wine glass and stood up. Wei Tiancheng and Lu Guangming stood up. The three of them, after finishing the glass of wine in one gulp, the sister lowered her head and snickered as she sat down. The three of them sat down and Wei Tiancheng smiled. Last time I didn't know that young Master Han didn't eat seafood, and I made a big mistake. The more I thought about what I did after I went back, the more wrong I was doing. It seemed that I, Wei Tiancheng, was deliberately trying to embarrass young Master Han. Today young Master Han gave me Wei Tiancheng a favor. I'm grateful for the opportunity to apologize. Han Qian waved at Wei Tiancheng and smiled bitterly. Director Wei, you are out of touch now. It's your fault that I didn't tell Director Wei earlier. Besides, Yi and I still know each other. Let's not mention what happened last time. Let's talk about today's events today. Good. Wei Tiancheng breathed a sigh of relief. He couldn't sleep well for several days after Han Qian's surgery last time. He wasn't sure what Feng Lundu said to Han Qian. Lu Guangming laughed after hearing this. I really like the character of Brother Han so much. Brother Han has also heard about his great achievements. He fired 2 shots at Feng Lun with more than a dozen guns looking at each other, allowing President Yan and Vice President Wen to leave the scene of the crime first. Han, I'm a real man, I'd like to give you a toast. The mature female sister brought Han Qian wine, which was less than half a glass. Lu Guangming was slightly surprised, and Han Qian grinned. This sister still feels sorry for me. She knows I'm injured and can't drink too much. Brother Lu, please stop humiliating me. Feng Lun shot me through the shoulder and almost threw me into the sea to feed the fish. I'm scared to think about it now. Here, do it. After setting down his glass, Lu Guangming took a bite of the food and said again. Brother Han, please don't be humble. I am also a straight-talking person. I just pour out my words like beans. Now many people know that you and Feng Lun have been alone for a long time. After Cheng Jin met you once, there are officials at the Yamen who have been sacked. Brother, you say you don't know anything. I really don't believe it, but brother, don't even think about it. I am envious but also afraid. It is a narrow escape situation. This is also your situation. Earned. Han Qian laughed after hearing this. Brother Lu, please stop talking about this. This old bastard Cheng Jin is trying to trick me. This grandson Feng Lun did tell me something. I won't hide it from you here today. Feng Lun told me, Feng's Haida has a big problem. The person who was supposed to take up the post at the Yamen gate was Feng Lun's father, also named Feng's Haida. They were from the same village as him, and he was replaced. This fake Feng's Haida was worried that he would really harm him. It's a good thing, let's go inside the prison. There is one more thing I want to tell you too. Feng Lun told me that it is best not to let Feng's Haida touch the Yamenman. Feng Lun said that Feng's Haida tried to get his gun in from the city. Damn it, brother-in-law, you really treat me like an outsider, but I didn't hear anything. Do I need to know about this? Han Qian tilted his head and looked at Li Er, not knowing whether this kid was pretending to be stupid or really avoiding suspicion. Han Qian sighed softly and whispered. Your father knows about this, so Feng's Haida has nothing to do now. Director Wei, Brother Lu, you two should stay away from this guy. Feng's Haida is crazy now. If the superiors give him a chance to make up for his past mistakes, he will bite him randomly. People are in chaos. Lu Guangming said immediately after hearing this. I have to stay away from this grandson. He contacted me a year ago, but I was busy and ignored him. After hearing this, Han Qian patted his chest and sighed. I feel relieved now. Wei Tiancheng gritted his teeth while holding the dish. I said that my grandson called me a few years ago and said that he wanted to fish out some of my younger brothers who were in jail. I felt that there was something wrong with this guy at that time, Mr. Han. I also heard that this Feng's Haida was planning to attack you. How about we two work harder to get him in? As soon as he finished speaking, Han Qian's cell phone rang suddenly. He smiled awkwardly at Wei Tiancheng, picked up the phone and said. Brother Guan? Oh, okay, 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 I understand. I'll let them go down now. Then you have to talk to Li Jinhai. Stop being a waiter. Just say what my brother-in-law said. Putting down his cell phone and nodding to Li Er, the latter stood up and took little Tukan out of the box. As soon as the two children left, Han Qian suddenly dared to feel a chill in his waist and put a hand down his waist into his pants. Grasp the key. Han Qian's breathing suddenly stagnated, then he took a deep breath, stretched out his hand to hug the young mature sister, and said to Wei Tiancheng. Director Wei, I don't know if everything can be said in this room now. Wei Tiancheng chuckled. Then you have to ask your brother Lu. Lu Guangming said immediately. They are all members of our own family. What do you want to say, Master Han? Han Qian smiled, leaned forward slightly, and said softly. I'll find a way to get Feng's Haida to jail as soon as possible, and leave the rest to you too. From the time Han Qian got started until now, Wei Tiancheng finally showed a smile that showed from the bottom of his heart. He smiled. Master Han wants Feng's Haida to die. Han Qian narrowed his eyes and smiled. Whether he can die or not, I don't have the ability. Wei Tiancheng narrowed his eyes and said. I have. Now Mr. Han is relieved. Don't worry, otherwise if you turn on the listening device or something, wouldn't I be dead? After saying this, he looked at the young mature woman's sister and frowned. Stop squeezing me. Find a place where no one is around and you're squeezing me. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, A Huan. Chapter 256. Guandegu was slightly startled when he saw the eldest lady walking out of the main entrance of Neptune Mansion. He trotted forward and asked if the dinner was over. Xiao Tukan said doubtfully. Didn't you call my uncle? Guandedu's head was in confusion. Li Er frowned and whispered. My brother-in-law set the alarm clock in the car, and the entire dinner time was under his control. He probably didn't want us to know about the rest of the topic. Tukan, do you feel something is wrong with Lu Guangming? Tukan shook his head. No, but I feel that Wei Tiancheng has been very nervous. His brows have not relaxed since he found out your identity. Is there something wrong with him? Li Er frowned and nodded. There's a big problem, go home. I'll go find my dad and analyze it for me, damn. When I get into the Film and Television Academy, I will definitely play a police detective. Guandegu tilted his head and looked at Li Duoli. Isn't this child sick? His father just wanted him to take over his class. Only 2 minutes after Guandegu Buick left, a white Maserati stopped at the door of the hotel, took out his mobile phone and sent a text message. In the box, the three of them drank a lot of wine, and the least one, Han Qian, drank more than half a gin. Lu Guangming smiled at Han Qian with a wicked smile. Brother Han, I heard that you have a secretary from the Yamen Gate here? Is she very beautiful? After hearing this, Han Qian chuckled evilly and replied. Cai Kinghu's legs, tisk tisk tisk, they are longer than warmth. It's a pity that you can only look at them but not touch them. This woman makes Lu Shenga honest, well-behaved, and clever. I also heard that Cheng Jin has to give her some face. Well, this girl also wants to test whether there is any secret between me and Feng Lun, so she is squatting downstairs. Lu Guangming gave Han Qian a thumbs up and praised him. Brother Han is extremely envious of this peach blossom land. He only dares to envy Mr. Yan, Vice President Wen, and Secretary Cai. It's a blessing for everyone, right? I heard that my brother is now interested in the land in Dongcheng. Do you have the right to speak? Coming. This was Lu Guangming's purpose tonight, and Wei Tiancheng had already gotten what he wanted. Everyone wants this piece of cake in Dongcheng. Han Qian took a deep breath and smiled. Oh? Brother Lu is interested in this land? Oh, look at my head. Boss Tu even told me that the people at his construction site borrowed it from you, but I am in a bit of a dilemma now. Dongcheng development, there is not much land, about 300,000 square meters, but this cannot be developed in one go, it has to be developed bit by bit. Lu Guangming asked doubtfully after hearing this. Oh? 300,000 square meters. Hua Luo frowned and nodded. Brother Han is right. If real estate properties spring up like bamboo shoots at the same time, several developers will compete on price, and none of them will benefit too much in the end. Is this what I am thinking about? Han Qian frowned and nodded, sighing helplessly. Brother, you said it just now. Now when Nuan and Qing Qing have a special relationship with me, well, they both want this land, so I have to give it to them, right? I'm holding your hand and being coquettish. Call me husband, call me brother Qian, my bones are all numb, aren't I also hopeless? Finished dividing? Lu Guangming was confused, and then asked tentatively. Brother Han, whether it is President Yan or Vice President Wen, it is their company that will ultimately benefit. Brother Han should consider himself. Han Qian looked at Lu Guangming, his expression hesitant, his brows furrowed as if he was struggling, and after a long time he gritted his teeth and said, Brother Lu, let's spread out and ask, how much can you give me? Lu Guangming breathed a sigh of relief, and then said in a deep voice, Brother Han, make a price. After saying this, Han Qian stretched out a finger. Lu Guangming frowned and said without gritting his teeth, 10 million. How much land can Brother Han give me? Han Qian's face instantly became confused, and then he smiled bitterly. It's only 10 million, I mean 100,000, and the location is chosen randomly. Lu Guangming was stunned again, then smiled. Brother Han, don't be joking. This is to randomly go to the edge of the city. It's more than 10 miles away from the city. Who else is going to sell my property? Brother, don't say that I am stingy. 1 million. I will use the companies. The names were transferred to the companies of Mr. Wen, Mr. Yan, and Director Wei respectively. No one would check the small amount of 300,000 yuan. Brother Han was completely spending money and could use the accounts of two companies. I would not choose too much location. Okay, you can move closer to the north and south, but it must be close to the edge of the old district. Han Qian's expression was calm and he replied calmly. I'll give you an accurate message when I go back tomorrow. It won't be later than noon at the latest. But brother, don't try to take it too big. We'll be in trouble if the Yamanmen keep an eye on us. In addition, Honor, Changxiang, and Shuncheng are being developed by 3 companies at the same time. No one will say anything, and 3 well-known companies in the city will develop and promote Dongcheng at the same time. This way. I will go to the Yamanmen tomorrow morning to find Cheng Jin. I will give you a reassurance at noon. I will give you the procedures after the money is received. How about it? Very good. Wei Tiancheng didn't interrupt. Now his mind was not on real estate, but the young and mature sister next to him was becoming more and more unrestrained towards Han Qian. At this moment, his hand had already reached into his underwear. Han Qian's face turned red and his breathing was a little short. Lu Guangming also saw the little erotic girl on Han Qian's side, stood up, hugged the woman next to him and smiled. It's almost time, let's go too. I've been delayed, Brother Han, to do something. Several people left the box. The young mature lady brought her hand to her nose and smelled it, then went to check out. At this moment, Han Qian's head was beginning to get confused. He was trying hard to talk to Lu Guangming about Dongqing's affairs, and now he said that he would have to digest it tomorrow morning. Walking out of the main entrance of Haiwang Mansion, the autumn wind blew by. Han Qian felt his stomach churning, and he stumbled to the tree to vomit. Seeing this, Lu Guangming whispered to the woman next to him and the young mature sister to go over and help. It would be best if he could lie down tonight. Han Qian's bed. The 2 women blushed and nodded, but when they had just taken 2 steps, a beautiful figure stepped out of the white Maserati sports car. She was wearing a long blue dress, and the autumn wind blew through, outlining her perfect slender legs. The woman's figure is slim and graceful, and her height of 1.75 meters would make most men shy away from her. In her hands she held a bottle of water and a bag of tissues. No need to ask, she went to take care of Han Qian. Lu Guangming looked at Jianying, his eyes full of lust, and he saw Jianying saying fiercely without blinking. If I could play with this woman, I would be willing to die. Wei Tiancheng on the side sneered after hearing this. If you really dare to touch her, you will be close to death. Cai Qinghu is also influential at the Yamen Gate. Don't forget Han Jian's words about this woman who made Lu Shenga honest, well-behaved, and clever. I really admire Han Jian. None of them were in a hurry to leave. Seeing Cai Qinghu half carrying Han Jian back to the car, the men and women's side, especially the mature female sister, who was very disappointed. Several people got into 2 cars and left. In the Maserati, Cai Qinghu looked at the man who took away her first kiss. She really didn't want to come, and she had no obligation to come here. She had already laid down to sleep and opened her phone to look at the unanswered text messages, but she still couldn't hold it back. She didn't go upstairs because she didn't want to create momentum for this man and let him use her status to make money and bully others. When he saw him staggering and walking out of the door without support, Cai Qinghu was not ready to pick him up. Until he knelt under the tree and vomited, Cai Qinghu still relented and got out of the car to pick up the man. After walking in, the man said something to her. Bullshit Wei Tiancheng, bullshit Feng Lun, bullshit Cheng Jin, they are all taking advantage of me, an ant that can be easily crushed. After rinsing his mouth, wiping his mouth and taking him back to the car, Cai Qinghu sighed. Is this the tragedy of little people? Maybe he didn't force all this. Cai Qinghu sighed again and leaned down to fasten the seat belt of the man in the co-pilot. Han Jian felt a faint fragrance coming into his brain, and ripples appeared in his mind. After being tortured by the young and mature sister for more than 2 hours, Han Jian could no longer control himself. He opened his arms to embrace the delicate body in front of him, and grabbed the soft mass with his other hand. Cai Qinghu let out an exclamation. But before she could make a sound, her 2 red lips were blocked. Gradually, the resistance turned into a powerless struggle, and finally the kiss and passion. Cai Qinghu knew what he was doing. She also knew that she was 26 years old. After the kiss, Cai Qinghu drove to the Metropark Hotel. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 257. Pressing the accelerator to the bottom, the car roared. She lowered the window and let the cold wind blow over her face, blowing away the heat and the residual warmth after passion. Cai Qinghu bit her lip and held the steering wheel with both hands. When the car passed by the seaside, her mind a voice inside told her to drive inside. Cai Qinghu couldn't find the reason to cooperate with Han Jian just now, and she didn't know why she responded enthusiastically to the kiss. Was she a wanton woman? She couldn't find the answer, and the only thing she could convince herself of was a simple sentence: desire is greater than reason, and this was the truest answer. All normal people have emotions and desires. When the car arrived at the Metropark Hotel, Cai Qinghu got off the car and walked into the hotel. Soon a waiter came out to help Han Jian. Go upstairs and get a suite worth 888 a night. Cai Qinghu would pay for all her actions at the Yamen Gate. She would not save money for Cheng Jin and Niu Qiudong. Han Jian was already delirious when he walked into the suite. He had never drunk so much wine before and was thrown away by the waiter. After getting on the bed, Cai Qinghu waved to them to indicate that they could leave. There was no such thing as a tip, and they didn't dare to ask for it. The room was on the government's account. Cai Qinghu looked at Han Jian lying on the bed and recalled his previous response. While scolding himself in his heart, he also hated this man. He rushed forward and rode on Han Jian's waist and sat on his belly. He waved his hand and slapped Han Jian in the face. Snapped. There was a bit of echo in the crispness, but Han Qian just frowned slightly and continued to sleep with his eyes closed. Cai Qinghu became angry, grabbing Han Qian's collar with both hands and said angrily. Han Qian. Who is supporting Feng Lun behind his back? How many unclean people are there at the Yamen gate? Is Cheng Jin honest? The guy who played the long tone seemed to be talking in his sleep, trying to turn over, but continued to sleep after no success. Cai Qinghu's chest kept rising and falling, and he started to use his hands on Han Qian's face, pumping, pinching, twisting, and biting. Anyway, it worked. They were all used, and then Han Qian got a little annoyed. He exerted force on his waist, and Cai Qinghu fell sideways on the bed. When she was about to resist, an arm pressed on her neck. The next second, Han Qian's legs fell on the pair. On those long legs that make people drool. At this time, Han Qian's coat hanging at the door heard the ringtone of his cell phone. Cai Qinghu wanted to get up to pick it up, but he couldn't break free from the man's arm. After a long time, Cai Qinghu looked at the roof and sighed. Rather than being unable to resist, let's die together with him. When Cai Qinghu made up his mind, Han Qian rolled over to the other side and continued to sleep holding the quilt. No matter how Cai Qinghu tried, he would not wake up. Drink too much. The tension at the dinner table had been high, and he didn't feel it after drinking so much wine. After it was over, the tense nerves relaxed, and the alcohol rushed to his brain in an instant. Now Han Qian didn't know how he got in the car, let alone how he got into the car. What has been done? Late at night, Cai Qinghu was sitting on the sofa checking Han Qian's mobile phone. This time, instead of looking at simple messages like in the morning, she recorded every number and sent it to the door of the Yamen to investigate the owner of the number. One of the overseas numbers that had been dialed in and out aroused Cai Qinghu's vigilance. A colleague who was busy late at night at the Yamen gate gave the result that it was an ordinary person in Vietnam. There was no other information. Cai Qinghu took I checked the time on my phone. 1 o'clock. If it was Vietnam, it would have just reached 12 o'clock. She took a deep breath and pressed the callback button tremblingly. At this moment, the police officer on duty in the city bureau immediately sounded the alarm in the listening room. There was another person on the phone. The call was made, and the person seemed to be Han Qian. All the police officers began to be on guard, and their breathing sounds became very subtle. Cai Qinghu held her breath. When she pressed the dial button, she felt fear and some regret. What if it was Feng Lun, the murderer, without blinking an eye? What should she say, and how should she answer if asked who she is? No one answered the phone. Cai Qinghu felt only a little disappointed, but more relaxed. The police officers of the city bureau also breathed a sigh of relief, but just as they relaxed their vigilance, a domestic call came in. The police officers once again increased their vigilance. Cai Qinghu sat on the sofa and looked at the ringing mobile phone. She took a deep breath. He took out his mobile phone and turned on the recording, then pressed the answer button. Sir, do you need special services? We have everything from stewardesses to white-collar workers and students. We can airdrop all over the country. Cai Qinghu frowned, then his face became as gloomy as a pool of stagnant water, the frost gradually spread, and his voice was as cold as the cold wind. If necessary, Metropark Hotel, rooms are 4 to 8, come here. When the other party heard that it was a woman's voice, they were silent for a moment and then whispered 2 words. Unlucky. Then the call was hung up. At this moment, Cai Qinghu realized how stupid he was. He quickly picked up his mobile phone and dialed the number of this special service. The number turned out to be empty. Li Jinghai, who was on duty at the city bureau, received the news. Then he became furious. Is this woman a fool? 3 o'clock. It started to rain outside the window, with autumn rain and coolness at the same time. The autumn wind blew into the room, bringing with it the air conditioning and waking up Han Qian. The moment he opened his eyes, Han Qian felt that his head was about to burst. He slowly sat up. The next second, Han Qian quickly got out of bed. He remembered everything he had with his young mature sister at the dinner table. He was now afraid of this woman lying down. Be by your side. There was no one around, so Han Qian didn't dare to relax. He carefully walked out of the bedroom. In the bright living room, he saw Cai Qinghu huddled in the corner of the sofa, holding his knees in a daze. Han Qian was slightly curious, and then remembered something. It seemed that Cai Qinghu picked him up, but he couldn't remember anything that happened after getting in the car. Without talking to Cai Qinghu, Han Qian walked into the bathroom. Opening the water and letting out the water, he felt a little better after holding it in all night. When he turned his head to look at himself in the mirror, Han Qian was stunned. Where did the lipstick mark on his mouth come from? Why is it covering half of my face? Scattered pictures appear in my mind. I know a little bit, but I can't put them together. Han Qian was a little scared. This was not drunken sex. Looking down at the water gate, Han Qian took a breath, as if nothing had happened. Why is this still a bit disappointing? After washing his face, Han Qian walked out of the bathroom, walked to the sofa, looked at the mobile phone on the table, and said softly. Afraid to sleep? Are you afraid that I will harm you? I'm visiting relatives, you know. Cai Qinghu slowly raised his head. When Han Qian saw her face, he frowned. The elder sister had tears on her face, as if she had cried. Han Qian had a bad premonition in his heart. Could this really happen? What? He took a deep breath, feeling very happy when he protruded, and sighed. Then I don't have to be responsible to you. Feng Lun sent me a message. In a word, Han Qian was like a lightning strike. How could Feng Lun know the existence of Cai Qinghu? How do you know her number? After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, A Huan. Chapter 258. At this time, Li Jinhai was roaring at Cheng Jin, and Cheng Jin's head hurt. How could Cai Qinghu easily get Han Qian's cell phone and lock the number? While Li Jinhai was roaring, his men hurriedly came to report. The phone was connected again. Li Jinhai didn't even have time to put down his phone and ran towards the listening room, but no one answered this time. Then Han Qian picked up Cai Qinghu's phone and frowned. Is your mobile phone safe? Since you didn't abandon me on the road, I'll call Feng Lun. He will definitely not answer my number. As soon as he finished speaking, the ringtone of Cai Qinghu's cell phone came to mind. Han Qian pressed the answer button and turned on the speakerphone. The familiar advertisement came immediately. Before the advertisement finished, Han Qian started to curse. Don't talk nonsense with me. I'm the stewardess playing with your grandma's whistle at 4 o'clock. The other party was silent for a full minute, and then Feng Lun's resentful voice sounded. Brother Han, you are not kind. The identity of the woman around you is not simple now, right? If someone dares to take your mobile phone and call me in the future, I will kill her first. Do you understand? Han Qian leaned on the sofa and puffed his lips while holding a cigarette. Kill your grandma for a whistle? You left all the mess to me. I was almost killed again a few days ago. Don't I have to thank you? If you have a temper, come to me. Don't bully other girls. You are all gentlemen. Are they all with handles? Brother Han, do you think I'm scaring you? The rooms in the Metropark Hotel are 4 to 8, right? Do you want me to have someone bring you some breakfast? As soon as these words came out, Han Qian immediately sat up straight. Cai Qinghu was scared and grabbed Han Qian's arm tightly. Han Qian looked at the phone with a gloomy face and gritted his teeth. Your people stayed with me. Ha ha ha, brother Han, don't be nervous, I'm just joking with you. If you want to blame the girl next to you for being so stupid that she dared to tell me your location, brother Han. Feng's Haida was still at large before my patience ran out. I don't mind letting you grieve for a while first. There is a girl named Ji Jing who seems to care about you very much. Feng Lun, are you looking for death? Han Qian, you are so paralyzed, what are you talking about me? Who told me that I can deal with Feng's Haida? Now you ask someone from the Yamanmen to call me? Do you think I don't know the identity of the woman next to you? I already know you. I am benevolent and righteous. Let your woman go. You pierced my leg on the speedboat. I did not kill you. I no longer owe you. Feng's Haida's matter is over. I will tell you everything I know, and I will surrender. Don't worry. I won't tell anyone else except you. Han Qian lowered his head gloomily, closed his eyes, sighed, and said softly. I met with Wei Tiancheng and Lu Guangming today. Oh? Han Qian. If someone wants to do harm to you, you won't lose at all. You always want to use other people's hands to do what you want to do. Let me give you a piece of advice. There are more women around you, and danger will come with it. Don't take the initiative to contact me in the future. You just arrived in Japan, damn. Don't send messages to Cai Qinghu and the others. If I know, I will find you even if you are in the sky and kill you. Come on, stick your butt out and wait for you. The call was hung up. Han Qian took his mobile phone and deleted the number and text messages on it. He picked up his mobile phone and started texting Nuan Nuan. While sending text messages, he thought, something was not right. Feng Lun changed things too quickly. Is this grandson honest? Han Qian frowned and thought, is he so confident because of him? With doubts and disdain in his heart, Han Qian spoke. Your mission is to find out what's going on at the Yamen gate. Feng Lun's matter is not your responsibility. If I don't contact him before tomorrow morning, you may die in a car accident or fall down the stairs. In short, you will definitely have an accident. I know Feng Lun, and Feng Lun knows me. After saying this, he wiped away the tears on Cai Qinghu's face and smiled. Don't mess with this guy. You should think about how to explain to Li Jinhai and Cheng Jin that we are renting a room in the middle of the night. There is still an hour before Cheng Jin arrives and the battlefield. Cai Qinghu raised his head and looked at Han Qian, wondering. Why do you calculate the time so accurately? He wants to give us time to get dressed. Besides, let me tell you a secret, I guess. Feng Lun may be in the country, and there is even a 1% chance of being right next door to us. As soon as he finished speaking, the door was knocked. Cai Qinghu's body tensed instantly. Han Qian stood up to open the door. Cai Qinghu held Han Qian's arm tightly and shook his head at the man. Han Qian shook his head with a smile, but when he got up, he grabbed the vase on the table. Through the peephole, there was a waiter outside. Now Han Qian saw that the waiter was also scared. He put the vase behind his back and opened the door. There was only a gap. Then he fixed his foot on the door and said in a deep voice. What's up? Hello sir, someone just asked me to give a message to the lady in this room. Explain. Don't talk too much. Hearing this voice, Han Qian's scalp went numb and goosebumps suddenly appeared on his body. He closed the door with a bang, locked it and rushed to Cai Qinghu. He picked up the mobile phone on the table and called Li Jinhai. The call was connected in seconds. Han Qian said eagerly. The veteran with the scar on his face is at the Metropark Hotel, and Kui Li is right outside my door. Li Jinhai was slightly stunned and frowned. Who? Feng Lun's accomplice, his personal thug. As soon as he finished speaking, there was a muffled sound from the door. Han Qian pulled Cai Qinghu into the bedroom and said in a low voice. No matter what you hear, don't come out. The voice coming from behind the waiter was too familiar to Han Qian. That night, there were only 3 gangsters who talked to Han Qian, Toad, Feng Lun, and then this guy. Feng Lun reminded him twice not to talk to Han Qian. Why is this guy here? Damn it! Is this grandson Feng Lun serious? He should have thought of this a long time ago. Feng Lun is a wanted criminal. How can he be treated as a normal person? Han Qian slapped him hard in the face, took off his shirt, smashed the vase, and took out the sharp. Holding the piece of porcelain in his hand, he dared to fight the toad. He had hope of winning. But facing this retired guy, Han Qian firmly believed that he would not survive for 10 minutes. Cai Qinghu heard the sound of broken porcelain outside, but she didn't know what happened. The only thing she knew was that she was in trouble. 10 minutes. This short time made Han Qian feel very long. Li Jinhai asked Han Qian to hold on for 10 minutes. The whole room was eerily quiet. The sound of a needle falling on the ground might pierce his eardrum. Han Qian's forehead was covered with sweat. Boom. The door was pushed open, and Han Qian stood up suddenly and held the porcelain tiles in his hands. In the bedroom, Cai Qinghu's heart was already in her throat, and tears were streaming down her eyes. She knew that her stupidity would most likely cost Han Qian his life. She wanted to open the bedroom door and see what was going on outside, but she didn't dare. In the room, Han Qian held the porcelain piece in his hand and looked at Li Jinhai, who looked ugly. Han Qian did not let down his vigilance and whispered, "It's too late again." Li Jinhai held his hair with both hands and squatted down weakly with his back against the wall. The policeman beside him held a dagger and a photo in which his face had been slashed. "It's Cai Qinghu." Han Qian threw away the porcelain piece in his hand and sighed softly. "Come out." Cai Qinghu opened the door and looked at the catcher and Li Jinhai in the room. She breathed a sigh of relief. Then she saw blood on Han Qian's fingers. She hurriedly ran forward, pulled off the hem of her skirt and bandaged Han Qian's hand. He was too nervous and held the porcelain piece too tightly. But Han Qian seemed to be unconscious, looking at Li Jinhai with disbelief in his eyes, tilting his head and asking, "Shouldn't you be ready when I call Feng Lun?" 3 hours. Second uncle. 3 hours. From 1 to 4 o'clock, do you believe that I can be in the hands of this guy? Do you want to live for 3 hours, or do you think it doesn't matter whether I die or not? Second uncle. I'll call you second uncle. The biggest mistake in this matter was Cai Qinghu, and the Yeomanman should really take the blame for the rest. Li Jinhai grabbed his hair and said irritably, "This Kui Li showed up once in Mexico last week. We never expected that he would show up here. Han Qian, I." Han Qian closed his eyes and took a deep breath, then collapsed on the ground and said helplessly, "If I am the only one here, I dare to open the door. Even if I fight to the death, I can buy time for you. But there is someone behind me from the Yamen gate. It doesn't matter if I die. If something happens to her, you can't handle it. Cheng Jing can't bear it. You don't think there's enough trouble around me? Why are you trying to get me? Feng Lun dares to kidnap everyone in the Yeomanman, but he doesn't dare to kill Cai Qinghu?" After finishing speaking, Han Qian turned his head and looked at Cai Qinghu and said angrily, "As a secretary, you should be a good secretary. You want to know that I will tell you sooner or later, eldest sister. I beg you, can you be honest? The women around me are not simple, but look at which one of them takes the initiative to provoke Feng Lun. I don't want to die yet, and I won't even watch you get killed. I beg you, go back, I really can't protect you." Cai Qinghu lowered his head and bit his lip. "I do not go." After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 259. Kui Li's appearance once again shocked the government office. Li Jinhai submitted his resignation. Cheng Jing covered his head and sat on the sofa helplessly. Old Li, please stop causing trouble. Even Han Qian didn't expect that Kui Li would dare to come to him, and it would be after 4 o'clock in the morning. Everyone is exhausted at this time. Hey! Xiaohuo, you are impulsive. Maybe you are really not suitable to stay with Han Qian. I will consider replacing him with someone else, and I will report this matter truthfully. Cai Qinghu bit his lip and said nothing. Han Qian felt comfortable looking at Cheng Jin and frowned. Don't act like a big-tailed wolf here. It's you who asked Cai Qinghu to come, and you're the one who asked her to leave. What's wrong? Do you think I'm a taxi? You get on when you say it, and you get off when you say it? What I just said, do you believe it? If she can leave today, Kui Li can sit down and chat with her tomorrow. I just called Feng Lun, he is on the island wearing clogs, I hope so. After saying this, Han Qian took out his mobile phone and said again with a curl of his lips. Don't even talk. Everyone raised their heads and looked at Han Qian. Han Qian held his mobile phone to his ear. After a few seconds, Han Qian blurted out. I'm going to hum you, let Kui Li go away. After saying that, he hung up the phone immediately. No one came back to their senses for a while. Cheng Jin tilted his head and asked. Feng Lun. Han Qian curled his lips and nodded. I feel unhappy. I want to scold him. I even suspect that this grandson is squatting next to me. Come on. Why are you still here when everyone has run away? It's time to disperse, right? When will this eldest sister be safe? I'll send her back to you, I'm sleepy. After giving the order to expel guests, Cheng Jin stood up and sighed. What a headache. The person left, and also took away the photo that Cai Qinghu had not seen. Cai Qinghu went out and spoke a few words to Cheng Jin. When he came back, Han Qian was already lying on the sofa to rest, breathing evenly. Cai Qinghu walked over next to the sofa, he knelt down on the stall and looked at Han Qian. The moment she was pushed into the bedroom, she believed that the dazzling man at the Mid-Autumn Festival party was the guy sleeping on the sofa now. The words don't come out no matter what sound you hear made Cai Qinghu very upset. He opened the door and looked at his bare back and his palms bleeding. Cai Qinghu firmly believed in an answer. He would have tried his best to protect her just now. She made mistakes due to her willfulness and stupidity, which led Kui Li to come to her door. He did not blame her, but just said a few symbolic words to her in front of Li Jinhai. More of them were advice. Cheng Jin wanted her to resist this. When she made a mistake, he stood up to protect her. Cai Qinghu looked at the man who had flirted with her twice, and recalled the scene of him talking to Feng Lun. He was very calm and strong. Thinking of being approached by Kui Li, he was very nervous and brave. A bit macho, a bit straight guy, he is really, very cute. Cai Qinghu couldn't find any other suitable words, and his eyes fell on the hand that fell on the carpet. Cai Qinghu carefully held up the injured hand and put it on the sofa when the man spoke. If you're not sleepy, just fart and chase it yourself. I'm very sleepy, so don't mess with me. Cai Qinghu lowered his head and whispered. Han Qian, I really didn't know Feng Lun would be such a madman. If he wasn't such a lunatic, why should I be afraid of him? Did you hear what Feng Lun said? Feng's Haida, you know, right? In order for me to survive, Secretary Cai used his tricks to save me. Han Qian opened his eyes and looked at Cai Qinghu. As soon as he took a look, he closed his eyes and turned his head. This. I didn't act like this when I saw Nuan wearing underwear before. Why am I so embarrassed when I see a half ball? Cai Qinghu also realized that he was naked, looked at Han Qian's hand and said softly. Niu Qiudong won't let me move. Cheng Jin told you to get lost, why are you so obedient? Now you, Cai Qinghu, are my secretary Han Qian? I can scold my secretary when he makes a mistake, but others cannot. I protect my secretary myself, and at the same time my secretary CAI, shouldn't you also do something for your boss? Feng's Haida is guilty to begin with, so if you get rid of him, you have done a serious job, otherwise you will be kissed in the sky. Cai Kinghu's expression changed instantly. He put down Han Qian's hand, stood up and walked towards the bedroom. I go to sleep. Walking into the bedroom, Cai Kinghu lay on the bed but couldn't fall asleep. Every time she closed her eyes, Kui Li appeared in front of her eyes. She climbed out of the bed, opened the door and looked through the gap at the man lying on the sofa playing games. She walked out of the bedroom, walked to the sofa, squatted next to Han Qian, and whispered, "Would you like another kiss?" In the taxi, Han Qian beat his chest and realized the unwillingness and annoyance in his heart. Why did he give up? Why don't you dare? Do you think your courage only comes after being annoyed or drunk? Ah! Holding his head in the car, he let out an unwilling wailing, and then started to get sick. I am simply so humiliated that I have no choice but to do it. I am secretly living it up and imagining it out of thin air. I am really sick. The driver looked at the handsome young man in the rearview mirror and sighed. Why? Why are you so crazy at such a young age? Modern children are under a lot of pressure. The fare should be less. After returning to Huangcheng Garden, Han Qian was going to get his notebook. Thinking of the notebook, Han Qian was unhappy again. Why is the mobile phone an antique, and the notebook is also an antique? Does he have anything advanced that others don't have? As he walked, he patted his head. If you use some force, this only enviable head will be broken. Opening the door to go home, Han Qian had already closed the door when Zheng Jing opened the door. Zheng Jing thought that he had failed in his mission. He had no idea where Han Qian had gone. Han Qian was stunned when he walked into the living room. He spoke immediately. I went to the wrong house. After saying this, he was about to walk out the door. As soon as he turned around, Tong Yao walked out of the kitchen and blocked Han Qian's path, narrowing his eyes and smiling. Hey, Master Han is back. He stayed up all night, tisk tisk tisk, it's so romantic, so happy. Unable to leave, Han Qian turned around again and looked at the three women sitting on the sofa. Warm, Yan Qingqing, Ji Jing. Why did Yan Qingqing and Ji Jing appear here? Han Qian was not curious and didn't want to know the answer, but the fact was very simple. Warmth and nursery rhymes were together, so she suspected that Yan Qingqing had taken away the drunk Han Qian. In order to prove her innocent, Yan Qingqing drove over at night. Then the three people began to doubt Ji Jing. When calling, Ji Jing hesitated and said that she didn't know where Han Qian was, but the three women didn't believe it, and then they went out together to pick up Ji Jing. When they found out that Han Qian had really disappeared, they made a unanimous decision. Han Qian is at Cai Kinghu. Before Han Qian could sit down, Nuan stood up, pinched his waist and said angrily. You stayed up all night. Which woman did you hang out with? Did you go to your life assistant? Did you go to warm yourself under the blanket? Yan Qingqing crossed her legs and sneered. You said you wanted to touch someone's breasts during the day, but you actually touched them tonight. Ji Jing looked at Han Qian's hands and wondered. Eldest nephew, what's wrong with your hand? Nursery rhyme followed. Did you get a cramp from touching it too hard or did you cut your hand while taking off the bra? Han Qian took out his notebook under the coffee table, sat on the sofa, looked at the computer and pouted. I don't even know who sent me to the hotel if they knew I was drunk and didn't pick me up. This sentence made the four women even more angry, when Nuan said angrily. Still picking you up? Did you get credit for drinking? Yan Qingqing sneered again. I said I wanted to go with you, but you didn't let me go. Little Tukan said that there was a very coquettish woman at the wine table and she even touched your legs. General Han, Does it feel good to touch your legs? Han Qian ignored the two women. He gradually frowned while looking at the computer. After 2 minutes, he frowned and closed the computer. He raised his head and said coldly with cold eyes. Which of you touched my computer? Say it. The four women instantly became nervous. When Nuan shouted that they had to go to work, Han Qian said coldly. It's Saturday. Yan Qingqing said immediately. Jing Jing, did we make an appointment with the teacher to get our hair done? Yes, yes, oh. I'm going to be late. Han Qian looked at Ji Jing and said coldly. 7 o'clock. Which hairstylist or shop opens so early? The nursery rhyme picks up the words. Yes, yes, how can you lie? I'm going to give my children extra lessons. Before the nursery rhyme could take action, Ji Jing said coldly. You last night, you have a lot of free time today, and you still want to go shopping. Looking at the four women, Han Qian smiled, stood up, walked to the door, locked the door, turned around and sneered. I asked you who touched my computer. I don't know who shouted. Sisters, come on. The four women rushed towards Han Qian, while Tong Yao rushed towards the computer. She wanted to destroy the body and eliminate all traces. When Han Qian was hugged by Wen Nuan and pushed to the ground, the corners of his mouth raised slightly. Has Kui Li really been here? No one knows, only Han Qian and Feng Lun know. But it is certain that Feng's Haida will be defeated. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, A Huan. Chapter 260. The computer was restored, and the plan that Han Qian worked hard with one hand was gone. It was clean, leaving only a few scattered icons and a minesweeper. There are many things in this computer. Mobile phones are not smart, and some of the solutions that I can think of are stored in this computer. Just say no after not going home for one day. The four women moved in unison and sat neatly on the sofa with their hands on their knees. Han Qian frowned and said in a deep voice. First of all, I have no obligation to report to you where I went last night, but I am a kind person. I was in Shangri-La last night, and Kui Li came to find me. I guess you don't know who Kui Li is, and you may have forgotten it, right? You too, everyone has seen this Kui Li. Han Qian pointed two fingers at Little White Eye Wolf and Lady Yaksha, while Yan Qingqing tilted her head and said in confusion. Kui Li? Who? Han Qian. Which girl did you hook up with again? Where did this Kui guy come from? When Nuan clenched his hands into fists, and Yan Qingqing was about to explode when she said her words. Han Qian grabbed a small tomato and smashed it on Han Qian's forehead, frowning. It's the Kui Li who was at the scene of the Mid-Autumn Festival massacre. He had a scar on his eye and was wearing camouflage uniform. I called him a veteran. Who? Yan Qingqing let out a scream. She only remembered two of the gangsters on the Mid-Autumn Festival night. One was Feng Lun, and the rest was this guy with eyes like poisonous snakes. He went to see Han Qian? Han Qian bent down to sort out the snack bags and fruit peels on the coffee table, and said softly. Feng Lun wants to give me a warning, which means to tell me to be more honest. It can also be regarded as telling the Yamanman not to push me too hard. I talked to Feng Lun at 1 o'clock last night. Now you tell me who hacked my computer restored. Han Qian's voice was very soft, and the remains on the table were thrown into the trash can. He walked to the bathroom and took out a rag and sat on the ground. He couldn't stand this messy environment. The four women on the sofa looked at each other, and finally lowered their heads, preparing to fight Han Qian with silence. But they were disappointed. This alliance, which was not very strong, was shattered by Han Qian's words. Aunt Ji, tell me who touched my computer. Ji Jing trembled, slowly raised her head to look at Yan Qingqing, then lowered her head and whispered back. Mr. Yan said that you were going to prepare a new plan for her. Vice President Wen didn't believe it. He also said that you had been secretly writing on this computer recently, and then, Mr. Yan went to find your computer. He guessed that they must have been responsible. Ji Jing's confession and leniency earned Han Qian's forgiveness, but Yan Qingqing couldn't just admit it. She said anxiously. Where are your eyes, Ji Jing? I opened the computer, and Nuan entered the power on password. We don't even know Han Qian's birthday on the lunar calendar. Do you dare to say that you didn't touch it, Nuan? The spearhead turned towards Wen Nuan, who raised his head and glared at Yan Qingqing and said angrily in a low voice. I entered the password, but who did it? Who wanted to copy the plan, and then the computer got stuck? Yan Qingqing was suddenly speechless. At this time, Tong Yao fell into the well and said with a sarcastic smile. If you don't have that diamond, you still have to stop this porcelain job. I already told you that this computer is too old, so don't mess around with it. After saying this, Yan Qingqing turned to look at Tan Jiao and said angrily. You can clean up the computer. Han Qian's files are not on the C drive. Just restore the D drive and E drive. Tong Yao felt something wrong when she heard this, raised her finger and pointed at Ji Jing and said angrily. She said to see if there were any third-level movies in Han Qian's computer, so I went to look for them, and then. Ji Jing lowered her head and continued. Then Vice President Wen said he would download one to threaten Han Qian, and then the computer was infected. Huh? Don't blame me, I just said download one. The website was given by Yan Qingqing. Nuan, are you talking in human language? I gave you the website and it's true, but the ones you can click to download are nursery rhymes. Did I download it? Mr. Yan, please speak nicely. Ji Jing was not chosen, and. Speaking of this, Tan Jiao's face suddenly turned red. Ji Jing blushed and glared at Tan Jiao and gritted her teeth. Han Qian looked at the four girls shirking their responsibilities to each other, and almost understood that all the documents they were looking for were fake. They just went to see if there were any short movies on the computer. The idea was Nuan's, and the website was Yan Qingqing gave it to me. The movie was selected by Ji Jing and downloaded from nursery rhymes. As a result, the computer was poisoned. Worried about being discovered by Han Qian, he built a system. This. Wolong, Fengxiao, Yaolin, and Tomb Tiger. The corner of Han Qian's mouth twitched with anger. He really wanted to treat them well. They were 100 years younger in total. Why didn't they do anything about human affairs? 2 company leaders, a department manager and a high school teacher. And then you just don't do anything related to their work? Han Qian felt dizzy, sitting on the ground looking at the rag in his hand and thinking about life. It is certain that he committed sins in his previous life, but what kind of sins did he commit this time? If I'm guilty, please let the law punish me instead of letting these 4 bastards come to torture him. Now that he has no idea of lecturing them, Han Qian doesn't want to clean up the room anymore. He stood up and walked to the guest room, unable to say anything. I'm tired. I'm going to rest. If you dare to disturb me, I'll show you what it means to be a gangster. After saying that, Han Qian raised his hand and slapped himself. He saw a bit of eagerness in Yan Qingqing's eyes. Han Qian took a deep breath, walked to Nuan, stretched out his hand to her. Nuan sighed and opened the door. After taking out the key, Yan Qingqing took it away and stuffed it into her clothes, then held out her chest for Han Qian to get it. Han Qian was so angry that he trembled, pointed at Yan Qingqing and gritted his teeth. You can do it? I admire you. I'll go sleep in the car. Aunt Ji, give me the car keys. Eldest nephew, I didn't drive here. Ah! Han Qian grabbed his head with both hands, he was about to explode. In the end, I just lay down on the floor tiles. The more I thought about it, the more irritated and angry I became. I couldn't even beat or scold me. I was so angry that I started fighting with my eyelids. I didn't dare to sleep. I sat cross-legged on the ground and grabbed my feet with both hands. Frowning. Aunt G, prepare to move. When I was on the phone with Feng Lun, he mentioned your name. Now Kui Li has appeared again. You can move here and live with Tanjeo. There are not many Qingqing people who dare to provoke you now. Ji Jing's face didn't change, but Tong Yao was very excited. She asked Ji Jing with a silly smile if she could help her share half of the rent, and if possible, rent a house with a lower class like Han Qian's. This kind of thing was discussed between the two of them. The monster Tong Yu also had her own plan. She wanted to ride in the car. As for cooking, it was the same for one person and two people. Han Qianqiang looked at Yan Qingqing with energy and said softly, "You are safe. No one will cause trouble for you right now. I don't even dare to think about it. You are in the same situation as Nuan. No one can handle it if something happens to you. But you should also try to be careful yourself. Basically, as long as you don't get along with me, there will be no danger, and as for the warmth, she is as safe as a fortress." Fortress. When Nuan stood up and rushed towards Han Qian, lying on Han Qian's back, pulling his ears and asking angrily who was the fortress. Han Qian had no intention of messing around with her and said softly, "Qing, you can go and talk about the matter at the Yamen gate. Get it as soon as possible and stop Lu Shenge's mouth. Also, help me find out what position Cai Qinghu holds. Her identity should not be as simple as she said. I'll call Cheng Jin later and give the land to Lu Guangming." When Nuan, who was lying on Han Qian's back, frowned. "What are you doing for this big pervert?" Han Qian patted Wen Nuan with his backhand and said softly, "For money, 1,000,000. After saying this, she found that Wen Nuan had become honest. When she looked up at Yan Qingqing on the sofa, her face was filled with flames and she gritted her teeth. "You slapped her butt in front of me? Han Qian, what do you want to express?" Han Qian was stunned for a moment, then his neck was hugged by warmth, and the girl cooed at Yan Qingqing. "My husband is photographing my wife. Are you jealous? Wen Zhuiying, please put yourself in your position. Han Qian is your ex-husband. He is single now. If you want to get angry, get away." No, I just want to act like a spoiled brat. If you're capable, why don't you come too? You think I don't dare? Yan Hu, don't be so shameless. No, I have to give it a try. Han Diguan, the slave family is here. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 261. The four older girls downstairs got into a fight, and Han Qian took the opportunity to sneak upstairs. It's not that he is irresponsible. If he stayed downstairs, he might be the one who suffered. He went upstairs to call Cheng Jin. After the call was answered, Cheng Jin started to complain. Han Qian, can I beg you? Can you tell us first before you have plans next time? Kui Li's matter has been known by the superiors. This guy seems to be afraid that others will forget Feng Lun's existence. And even went to the bank to withdraw money at the counter in a swaggering manner. The president of this private bank was invited to have tea by Li Jinhai. Thanks to him, the weekend break at the Yamen gate was cancelled. I am an old man. Bones. Han Qian was lying on the bed holding his mobile phone and said softly, "How is Cai Qinghu? I cried a lot when I came back to the Yamen gate, little ancestor. Cai Qinghu's identity is not just a secretary as you think. Can you stop making such troubles in the future? If you keep doing this, I will resign. You are about to lose this lovely me. It's a long time coming." Puff. Han Qian couldn't help but laugh out loud. Cheng Jin was really having a hard time right now. One person was as big as two people. Han Qian held his phone and laughed. Okay, I understand. In a few days, when Feng Lun calms down, how many people will I be able to deduct from you? Then I really thank you. Now Feng Lun is a wanted fugitive. Someone from above will catch him. Let me clear the yamen door as soon as possible and I can have a good sleep. Well, you will have someone draw out a piece of land for Lu Guangming in Shuncheng. It doesn't need to be big, just a community of about 100 households. Cheng Jin was silent, and Han Qian was patient and waited quietly. After a long time, Cheng Jin spoke in a low voice. To Lu Guangming? How much money did you take from him? Han Qian, don't force me to arrest you. 500,000. Cheng Jin was silent again for more than a minute. Cheng Jin sighed and whispered. I'm thinking of sentencing you to a few years. I'm thinking that 500,000 yuan should be donated to build schools in the mountainous areas of our city. 500,000 yuan may not be enough. I'm thinking that winter is coming soon, and sanitation workers will get up early to beautify the city. I will give this money to you, buy some warm supplies for those lovely and respectable uncles and aunts in the sanitation department, a pair of gloves and a thermos cup. Cheng Jin sighed, then smiled weakly. Han Qian, are you trying to block my mouth? Han Qian had already walked out of the room. He was a little hungry. The girls on the first floor saw Han Qian talking on the phone and became quiet. They squatted outside the refrigerator door and listened to Cheng Jin's words. Han Qian frowned and replied. Don't fart. I'm deducting 500,000 yuan from Lu Guangming for you to beautify your reputation. You still say that I blocked your mouth? I have a rag here. Do you want it? It tastes good. Cheng Jin on the other side pouted. What? I'll give you a banner. Then I'm giving 100,000 to the breakfast shop so that my uncles and aunts can have a hot breakfast. I'll give you 2 banners. Don't be ridiculous. Then I will customize the banners for Mr. Yan and Wen Nuan. I will paint the land later and ask the capitalists to pay for the benefit of the people. I don't feel bad at all. Your 100,000 will be withdrawn in cash and sent over soon. You're so humming rude to me. Roll. Cheng Jin hung up the phone, and Han Qian took a piece of ham and stuffed it into his mouth. It must have been the leftovers of these girls. He sighed while eating. Before I get this million, I have to spend 600,000. And this money must be taken. Cheng Jin should not feel that Han Qian is using this land to make money, but let Cheng Jin feel that Han Qian is using the land to make money for the Yeomanmen and build an image for the officials at the Yeomanmen. The money is the same, but there are so many ways to use it. Ji Jing stood up and walked to the kitchen. Soon she came out with a cup of hot milk. She handed it to Han Qian and told him to drink some. Han Qian took the milk and took a sip, then whispered if he could add some sugar. Ji Jing smiled softly, turned around and went to the kitchen to get some sugar. At this time, Wen Nuan, who was lying on the sofa and occupied the entire 4-person sofa, said. Who were you talking to on the phone just now? Why are you so foul-mouthed? Who do you want to get 100,000 for? I will get it for you later. Han Qian nodded and said softly. You actually go to withdraw the money later. Lu Guangming will transfer the money to your and King King's company accounts at noon. Each of you will have 300,000 yuan. Well, you two will withdraw the money and I will send it to Cheng Jin. What? You want to bribe Cheng Jin? Nuan let out an exclamation. Han Qian shook his head and curled his lips. Bribery, like this, Ching and I will go out in a while, and you ask someone to transfer the money to Ching, and we go to the Yamen. Ching can't do it, this old guy Cheng Jin still wants to do it for you too Jingkai. I'm taking money from both of you, Nursery rhyme, can you drive? Send me to the Yaman gate. Nursery Yao hugged the pillow and whispered. I don't want to go out, just ask Aunt G to send you off. Han Qian walked to the sofa, bent down and patted his warm legs. The girl raised her legs to make way for her. After Han Qian sat down, she put her legs on Han Qian's body. Seeing this, Yan Qingqing stepped forward and pulled her, taking Han Qian away. She and Han Qian changed positions. Nuan curled her lips and put her legs on her body. Surprisingly, she was not thrown aside. Nuan looked sideways at Han Qian and said doubtfully. What do you want to do? Take so much money to go to the Yamanmen. Don't you know that the officials at the Yamanmen are very nervous now? Han Qian reached out and took out the cigarette. As soon as he took it to his mouth, Ji Jing snatched it away. A glass of milk with sugar was placed in his hand. Han Qian drank the milk and said weakly. Didn't Lu Guangming make an appointment with me last night? He wanted the land in Dongcheng and promised me 1 million. It would be too hot for me to swallow all the money, so he told Cheng Jin that I had taken 500,000, and there was another. There is no sign of the plan now, so I won't tell you yet. I gave the 500,000 to Cheng Jin to use it to build his image. I also told him that I didn't make any money by taking his land. I gave the money to the people. Anyway, the money I withdrew looked better than Cheng Jin's, and the result was also better. I called Cai King Hu and almost forgot about her. As soon as she finished speaking, she drank up the milk in the quilt. When she just put down the cup, the cigarette was put into her mouth. Ji Jing took the lighter and lit the cigarette, and then kicked the lighter into her pocket. Han Qian stretched out his hand to Ji Jing. Ji Jing shook her head. Seeing this, Han Qian didn't even think about it and smiled. What? You want to light up cigarettes for the rest of my life? After saying these words, Han Qian waved his hand and slapped himself in the face. He stood up, took the coat on the sofa and walked out the door. Nuan looked at Han Qian's back with cold eyes and said coldly. Remember to come back and cook in the afternoon. Yan Qingqing sighed lightly. It's hard to guard against house thieves day and night. I'm going to buy a lighter tomorrow. No. I want to buy a flamethrower. Grilled fox. Nuan, you want to fight? Han Qian had already walked out of the door when the two women were arguing. When Zheng Jing hurriedly opened the door and came out, Han Qian had already entered the elevator. Nursery Rhyme looked at the two quarreling women and wondered. Didn't you hear Han Qian say he was going to find Cai King Hu? Can you target the women outside? After saying this, Nuan looked at Tong Yao and sighed. Having restrained Han Qian for 3 years, I have to give her some space to prove that I am the one who believes in him the most. When I asked him about Han Qian's character, he would tell me everything, but I didn't want to ask, because I wouldn't know if I didn't know. Sad. Hey, yo, do you want me to tell you that you are with Han Qian? Stop bragging, Yan Qingqing, the most you can do is kiss and touch her. You don't have the guts to take that step. And let me tell you, with your warm sister here, what do you want to do with Han Qian? Ha! You'd better go first. Go to heaven, maybe it's easier. After saying that, Wen Nuan stood up and walked to the second floor, speaking as he walked. After all, our 3-year relationship cannot be compared to your 3-month relationship. Sister, you will always have 3 more years. Yan Qingqing crossed her legs and sneered. So you believe that I won't die behind you? What if you take the first step? When Nuan stopped in the middle of the stairs, looked at Yan Qingqing and sighed helplessly. If Han Qian does this, how long can he live? Don't make him too tired. We are not children anymore. For those of you sitting here, I put my words here. If you want to compete, I will accompany you warmly. Excellent men will never lack suitors, this is something I have already expected, but if you are playing dirty tricks and do things that make Han Qian sad and hurtful, I will do my best to make you regret it. After saying this, Wen Nuan stretched and yawned. I'll ask the secretary to transfer the money to Yan Hu's card. You can ask your secretary to withdraw the money later. Yan Qingqing replied indifferently. Lu Guangming hasn't paid yet. Wen Nuan suddenly narrowed his eyes and smiled. It's time to go to sleep. You will kneel down later. Explain. No need. That's it for today.